Okay, we're recording. Eric, if you could just introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Sure. Hi, I'm Ejric Bernhardt. I'm a saxophone player and an arranger of music. And well, I'm currently mostly unemployed thanks to the pandemic.
Yeah.
But for let's see, the last 5 years or so, I've played saxophone for the Austin-based piano player, Marsha Ball, and toured the country and the world a little bit. And yeah, that's been my life, and it's been cool. I feel really lucky and blessed to have
Yeah.
been able to do all just make a living as a saxophone player.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild, and that's been going probably the last like 12 to 15 years. I guess I've been maybe 12 years I've been full-time. um,
That's awesome.
but yeah, so now I'm just looking at the way forward, and who am I if I'm not a live saxophone player? That's kind of been the weighty thing. Like, do we all have to? I guess we're all to some extent have to reinvent ourselves after this.
Yeah. And I'm sorry to hear that the gigs dried up. And I know I've seen that a lot. A lot of my gigs dried up too.
Oh yeah,
I've done a lot of like I was scheduled to do some emceeing at a film festival and just like some of the other works that I've done. And it was very weird, you know. It was like getting in the mindset to start traveling and being a bunch of different places, and then all of a sudden all the emails came like all at the same time, and then all
oh
the
yeah,
jobs dried up too. And
yep,
I've for a while piecemealed my life, so like you know, to try to make room for the creative things I want to do.
hmm,
And so I'm a massage therapist and I teach and I do
right,
freelancing and all this stuff. So like pre-COVID, I had 5 jobs, and then during COVID, zero. Um,
yeah, donut jobs, yeah,
yeah, it was interesting space to be in because I'm used to going all the time, and I feel like,
yeah,
you know, you've been very purposeful and build. I mean, we've known each other for a long time,
yeah,
and
totally.
you've, as long as I've known you, you've been very focused and very purposeful about like, this is what I want to do. Like, I know I want to be a saxophonist. I know I want to make a living of this. And so for me, it's been very cool to see that happen, you know,
Mm.
on so many awesome levels. And then also, um, yeah, where do you go from what's next, you know, like what's next? And I know that's a very hard question too.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, at the moment, I mean, I've been trying to keep busy, keep myself on a schedule. I get
mhm.
up and I've been writing actually in the first thing in the morning. And then,
Awesome.
yeah, and then I will spend a little time playing with this guy so that he stays out of trouble. Uh, and uh, let's see. And then um, I just then I practice and write, and I've been really lucky. I've been fortunate. I've been able to set up a little studio with an audio interface and microphone, and I have a few people who send me tracks to arrange horns and record to, so I can do that wherever I am, and email them
Yeah.
tracks. So I have been keeping a little busy doing that,
Yeah.
or actually I've been keeping busy doing that. And then I've been making videos for my band Noggin, and I'm on a schedule like one a month is what I'm trying to do. And I started last October, and I think I've skipped 1 month, and that was after everything fell apart.
Yeah.
Uh, I guess it was maybe either the March or the February video I missed, but
Okay.
anyway, but going forward, well, I'm just trying to take whatever I can, do as much arranging, and just keep building kind of a audio video portfolio. So I've
Nice.
been steeply climbing up uh, what do you call it? The learning curve of DaVinci Resolve and how to edit video and stuff. So that's been, who would have thought? I think a lot of people are becoming video editors in this
Yeah.
time, you know? So But I don't know. I'm thinking basically, the mortgage companies have given people a reprieve, and I'm one of the people. But I've taken a couple of those reprieves, and so it's getting to the point where it's not like I don't owe that money. So I'm getting to the point where I think I'm probably I'm going to have to find something to just make sure that I'm making some income. And I don't want to be on, what do you call it? Forbearance for very much longer if I can help it.
I get that. Yeah.
And so considering I've been real lucky being a saxophone player, I think it was a steep, long climb doing all kinds of different jobs to get to be a saxophone player. So if you want to be a saxophone player, you better know that you got to do some other stuff that you don't want to do, maybe, So anyway, it's
that's the hard part. They don't tell us on the outset, right? Like in the beginning, it's like, just follow your heart, do what you want to do kind of thing.
Right.
And then of course, we kind of lived in like a punk house sort of way back. And it's just like that attitude of like, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. Like, I'm going to find a way, come hell or high water. And then sometimes that's very challenging and very difficult. And so then, you do make different decisions. Like I said, I piecemeal my life. And like right now I'm working at a capacity where it doesn't allow for a lot of time and energy for the creative things that I want to be doing. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like making that decision, like, no, I want my life to look more like this. So therefore I need to move in that direction,
Yeah, right.
And sometimes it's really gradual because I can't just be, the Tamika of my early 20s and just be like, fuck this, I'm done. Like, it's just totally impetuous, right?
Yeah, right.
It's like, if I do that, I might not have a job. Soon.
Right. It's dawned on me, and maybe this is obvious, but there's a thing where I think you find out if you really want to become what you think you want to become when you have to do the work to get there. Like, say, if you want to be a musician, a working musician, then that means you have to practice endless hours. You have to get up at, you have to get up at 2 a.m. to catch a 5 a.m. flight, to try, like you have to, learn how to sleep in airplanes and cars and vans and then there's all this stuff that you sit around for hours between sound check and your gig or whatever it is. It's sleep on floors. Oh my God, whatever it is, that's what it takes to be a musician. It's a cool idea. Like, I want to be a musician, or whatever it is. But I've kind of realized that's where maybe people wash out is they realize, oh, I guess I don't want to be that thing, because I'm not willing to take all the steps.
Where would you say, like, because obviously, like, and it doesn't happen every time when you're performing or making music or recording or even composing. It seems like a slog often to get to those kind of like magical, like ascendant places in music. And I feel like if you focus on those places, like it kind of makes it makes all that other stuff wash away. I don't know. Do you feel that way? Well, like, what is your emphasis?
Sometimes I wonder if it's like this, there was somewhere around 17 or 18, I had a moment where I was like, am I going to really do this? And I just chose to do it.
Yeah.
Or I was like, I kind of felt like I had to do it. I feel like when we moved to Denver and I was practicing in between shifts, that was like practicing in the car in between split shifts at the restaurant where I was working. I would I had that 94 Ford, what was that? No, the Thunderbird. Yeah, the Thunderbird.
Oh, Thunderbird.
Yeah, do you remember that car? That it was like
I remember the Spud.
Well, I got a Thunderbird after we moved to Denver. I traded
Okay.
the van in for a Thunderbird. It was short lived, but I drive it to
Okay.
work it on the border and go to I'd do an AM shift, and then I'd sit
Yeah.
in the car and practice, and then I'd do my night
Yeah.
shift and then drive home. And then when
Oh shit.
then the lights burned out on the dashboard. All the headlights didn't work. Like nothing worked, you know? And so what I would do is I'd drive to the morning shift, drive back to the apartment, catch the light rail and a bus. Like I spent my whole time between shifts on the light rail and the bus to get back to work, and then finish
Yeah.
working and then get a ride to the bus, the light rail or something. But anyway, um, just like that time, when we lived by the light rail, it was like,
Yeah.
and I'd practice, I'd go and play on the street and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like that thing, you working, when you get a taste of what it's like to actually work for a living, and
Yeah.
then you go, well, no, oh, wait a second, no, I'm a saxophone player. That's when I
Yeah.
knew, no, I'll play anything you want on the saxophone, to anything. And to this day, like I play like such a, well, I was playing such a wide variety of gigs, from
Yeah.
jazz, funk, rock and blues and polka and whatever, smooth jazz. Not too much smooth
Smooth
jazz, but
jazz.
I stopped hating
You
on
got into
smooth.
the smooth jazz.
It's not like you get into it. It's not like I like it
Like you
necessarily.
pay the bills. Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's like, oh, you want to, yeah, on this gig you got to play a smooth jazz tune or two, and it's like,
Yeah.
yes sir, all right.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, George Michael's not smooth jazz, but it's close enough.
Yeah. I didn't know all that. I honestly didn't know all that. And I like feel a little heart pain that I didn't know that. And I mean that does make me admire you even more. Because like, yeah, you never stopped. Like there were a lot of challenges and you just kept playing. I remember you playing in like parking garages.
Oh
Like
yeah, the
this
Boise
was like
days,
if
yeah.
you could get in there,
Yeah.
stairwells, like all kinds of places. And I think, yeah, I think that's really important to note. Like, yeah, you just make a decision and then work definitely takes away. It's like that threat of something that's so important to you being taken away, and you're like, no, I need to hold on to this with everything I have. And at that point there's like, there's no excuses. It's like either you want it or you don't, right?
Right.
uh,
So yeah, and yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's one of the things I say that I don't know whether it's, I don't know if it's good or a bad thing, but I say to make it as a musician, you have to be smart enough to be a musician, but just dumb enough to think that you can make it.
yeah,
And
I've
and
heard this before.
yeah, yeah, it seems like, I don't know, like our buddy Yuki Tay, he's definitely too smart to be a musician.
But his love of music has also led him to like, document his heroes too.
He's
I,
amazing, yeah.
yeah, Yuki Tay, I remember like the first time he played and I jumped, I was like, where the fuck did you get that sound? Like, who are
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
And he's an amazing saxophone player, but I don't know if he's playing much anymore. I don't know, you would know better than I do. But he's
Yeah,
like, he's interviewing freaking Sonny Rollins and stuff. Like, what?
yeah, yeah. He's like, he's so fearless. I'd be so shaken in my boots. Although he did tell me his story. I guess I'm telling his story now, but he told me that he took a lesson with Branford, and
Rad.
it cost him like a couple $100 for the hour, but he doesn't remember any of it because he was so nervous. You gotta like record that business, you know. But anyway, I
He's
thought
like,
that
why
was
didn't
fun.
I record the lesson?
Yeah.
Oh
No,
my
yeah.
goodness.
But he's the kind of dude who comes to town. Like he's come to town when I was in Denver still, and I was
Mhm.
playing in I would just sub and play in as many big bands as I could. And
Yeah.
one evening we had an early show, and my professor Art Boughton was playing lead tenor, and we were playing Take the A Train, and Art, before we played it, there were like 6 or 7 people in the audience, including Yuki Tae, and then even more importantly, all these musicians that I really looked up to. But Art Boughton passed the lead tenor part to me because it was a solo part, and he goes, "Hey, Eric, do this," you know, and I thought, yeah, this is A Train. I can do this, no problem. Yuki Tae's here. This is gonna be great. And then, well, it turns out that the arrangement's in B flat.
Oh.
And so that whole like is like, you know, that's a little snaky line, and I just ate shit all over the line, over that in front of Yuki and the 6 other people that were there, and all those badass musicians, and like Yuki no one knew probably that it's, except for, I mean, the band knew, but that arrangement was in B flat. It doesn't matter. What mattered is I couldn't play A Train. It's just a basic thing. And every time it seems like Yuki's around, I just eat massive buckets of shit. And one of these days he's going to hear me and go, "Oh, Eric can play a little bit," you know, but I'm just like, he must think I'm such an idiot because I stuck with it this long. But I don't know. Anyway, the thing is, when you go to school, I think at such a high level place like you did, and go to school with like Seamus Blake and know Chris Potter personally, your standards are so high that it's hard to believe that anyone would want to play any other way than those guys, you know? But anyway.
But I mean, and that's such a weird thing. Like, I don't know if you know like my inclinations, my ears went way out. So like, I love experimental, like edgy stuff. Like I took a friend to like see Zena Parkins, for example, and her daughter, and I was totally into it. She plays all this amazing discordant, like crazy sounds on her harp, and I look over and they're both in fetal position, and they were my ride. So I like, I was like, "This is so, do you want to go?" And they're like, "Yes, please." And
man.
so like, I just, so like getting to my point, there's the Arts for Arts folks in New York, and they do a lot of avant-garde stuff, which I love. And it's like some of the, like, you know, you're like in the headlight of history with the avant-garde cats, and they have kept this thing going for a while. So I'm trying to think of names specifically. So like Matthew Shipp, and come on brain, a lot of other folks, like Michael Bisio is one of my favorite people, anyway, just a lot of amazing folks, and they formed this community. And gosh, I really totally messed up my point now because I was like trying to figure out a bunch of other stuff. But like, just I've had some conversations with Patricia, one of the people who had that festival, and I'm spacing out on her name. This is so dumb. My brain does this so much now. Middle age. But she like, we had a talk about how sometimes in the academy and colleges and stuff, and then of course each academy has its own kind of flavor, right, that it turns out often. Stuff, jazz, which is like, teaches us flexibility and just like experimentation and pushing against boundaries and all these other things. Often in the academy, it reaches a point of stasis for the sake of being preserved and also taught. And I thought that was a really interesting point. Also really sad. It kind of added a facet to like what I was seeing early on, where like a lot of our friends would go to music school and come out and stop playing. And it just kind of added a facet of that for me, because it felt like something was being taken away or ironed out or something. And then I never finished music school. It's actually one of my biggest regrets, but like, I kind of felt that too. It's just like, yeah, but what about this thing? Like, how do I get to the point where I want to experiment and push against the grain and all those kinds of things? But they were telling, you know, the assignments, especially early on, the assignments are very strict because classical music. But like, I don't know. But I hope I'm not getting too far off, but it just added another facet of that for me. Because like Yuki was always a monster player. I feel like.
Yeah, but I think he saw through the reality of gigging. It's like I mean, and it's all of it's all kind of a definition thing too, like what success as a musician means. If it's like if you can work and get by and pay your bills playing whatever music, and you feel like you've done it. Like, I guess I might fall more in that category where I can play and work and stuff, but where other people, it's more like if you're not getting, I don't know, some sort of acclaim amongst your,
I get that.
the top echelon. If you're not the greatest, then you've failed. But I mean, I don't know, there's a fine line between being, well, it's not a fine line. I mean, there's being an artist and there's being a crafts person, like being a good craftsman at what you do. If the first thing you got to do is be able to actually perform, be able to do your craft. Can you actually, and that's what school is about, that I think gets lost. Or it's like, I think that's what, you've got to learn, like if you're going to draw, you need to be able to shade a sphere, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's basically, so you go to school and play long tones, or you do your vocal warm-ups, or you learn etudes and stuff like that, and learn solos and all that stuff. It's just the discipline to get beyond that. And if you're really good, then you do become a Chris Potter or something. But otherwise, I don't know. I'm just, somewhere I heard someone just say, maybe it was Phil Woods, you got to just practice, or someone even said, just try to be good. Like something that really changed my head around, as opposed to trying to be this great artist. Someone just said, why don't you try to be good first? Are you actually even good at your craft? And so I was like, oh yeah, maybe I should just try to be good at playing a standard or whatever. And so I don't know. And then what's the hard part about that is every day I call it wrestling the bear. I go and wrestle my saxophone. Then a very close friend of mine told me, well, maybe you should try caressing the bear. They're always wrestling the bear. Maybe you'd have a better time. But
yeah, different approach. Don't provoke the bear.
Yeah, don't wrestle the bear. Caress the bear.
Caress the bear. Thank you for that, like, clarification, because I think in a lot of ways my ideas about music school are still very young, because I haven't made it to the other side. For me it was very challenging. I tried 2 or 3 times. It was very challenging for different reasons, and it's because I'm so stubborn, and I'm just like, no, I want to push it, get into the grade now, I want to do the thing now. And so I wanted to pretty much leapfrog the discipline. I'm just going to go ahead and admit that I wanted to leapfrog the discipline and just do the thing. And I don't know, there are probably a lot of other people in that boat too. So I think that's a really good clarification.
Well, I was that way too. I mean, I left Boise State like after 2.5 years, because I'm like, what am I doing at Boise State? I'm touring with this punk rock band. We're kicking all this ass. We should be out. Like, okay.
The front looks weird. I went down 1 notch.
Oh yeah.
That's a little bit shorter.
Word. Yeah. So when I was, I left because I was like, why am I here at school when I could be just touring and doing this thing that I really want to do? So,
well, to be fair, the Mosquitoes were pretty rad. So,
oh man, it was a lot of fun. We learned a lot. Ben Clapp is our drummer and trombonist. He remembers so many gigs, and he still has like CDs and cassettes and
probably all the posters.
Yeah, and he booked us, and then he started his own label. I mean, he was so aware at that time of what was really going on, I feel like. And I feel like my head was just in, I want to write songs maybe things haven't really changed that much, but it's amazing how aware he was of the business end and stuff. Like just the way he would support himself by, he would pull money together. I think he borrowed money from his grandma and then made a bunch of CD tapes or whatever, CDs. And then he would sell them at shows, pay his grandma back. And then after that, he was paying his rent and stuff. And then he'd stay up all night before a tour. What do you call it? Screen printing t-shirts and shit. And then he'd sell them on the road. And while the rest of us, like I would be eating out of ravioli cans, he could actually eat, buy smokes, whatever,
There's
really
like, he
fun.
could do, but I remember some of that stuff. That's pretty cool to like see it that way, because like I was bummed out like a little bit, right, because as far as what I could see, but I do remember some of that, and I don't know, that's really cool. And that it's totally a DIY mindset, and a DIY mindset that absolutely works too. And it's another level of commitment,
Right.
I think that's pretty rad.
Yeah, can do attitude. Yeah.
Can do attitude. And so like you've had like multiple streamlines of the world, like obviously absolute like pro musician, playing all the gigs, all the different genres and stuff, teaching a bit, having gone through academia and master's level, right? Did you get a PhD?
No.
Did you get a doctorate?
I've thought about it, but I did my master's and undergrad in jazz and commercial composition at University of Denver. And well, I did a few credits at Boise State too. But it was, that's as far as I got. I've thought about doing a doctorate, awesome. But
yeah, that's awesome. And then so like what I'm trying to get at is like, I mean, you were disciplined before as a musician, because I remember like I think the goal was to get to 8 hours a day.
Oh yeah.
Which said 8 hours a day. And so you were always disciplined, like practicing every day, and there was a high level anxiety if there was a day that was missed. And then there's another level of discipline with academia, right? And then there's another level of discipline of being a pro musician and all these different gigs, sometimes playing what you don't want to play necessarily. But I know you're playing the shit out of it, and like, so like what are some things that you've learned from being able to be in all of those worlds? Because I think a lot of musicians only play in certain worlds, and we see it all the time, like like academic players are academic players often, not always, but often, and indie players are indie players, and maybe don't get to play in some of these other worlds.
I think the big thing the big thing is just being it's really, the music part is the given, and then the rest of it, like just showing up on time and showing up with the same, like being the same person every time, attitude wise, is important. Just look like you're supposed to be there, whatever the appropriate dress is. If it's jeans and a t-shirt, or if it's a tuxedo, and anything in between, you wear what you're supposed to, and then just don't be a dick. That's the big thing. Don't be just there's no, I don't know, argumentative and stuff like that. It's really, I don't know. It's like working for Marsha, like being on the road. It's funny. Well, okay, so in New Orleans, it was like I worked before times, it was, you'd work maybe 6 to 10 hours, 12 hours a day, you're playing. And then it only takes like a half an hour to get home, right? Each way, or tops. And then on the road with Marsha, it's the opposite of that. It can be up to 12 hours of driving with an hour and a half of playing. And, and so with that being said, that all that other stuff, like, can you just, does anyone even want to be around you?
Right.
If you're in the car with someone and traveling with people, really are you just, I don't know, can you keep your shit together? Do you, yeah, just as a person. So, and, so it's an interesting thing. But playing, and I don't know, also playing a bunch of different styles is just fun, because if you just, and you just play the same thing over and over, it's kind of, it's like you're only doing, you're only working out one arm or something, and then the rest of you're like, this is one big arm and the rest is a skeleton. I don't know. It's just like a lot of stuff you can do. It's, I don't know. That's been a real blast, because I'll go out on the road with Marsha. We play rhythm and blues and R&B and stuff. And then I come home and then I get to play my original music and jazz, straight ahead jazz and all kind of different stuff. So it's a lot of fun to just play all that different stuff. All right. So.
Sounds like the puppy's getting riled up.
We got people are coming and going, so he's got to check in. Yep. So anyway, yeah. So that's what
Yeah, that's a good point too. I mean, I'll just admit, like, I know in my late teens and early 20s, I did not conduct myself in this way. I was very hard to be around, and also I think there were a couple times where I just literally walked off the stage, and it actually pretty much, like, canned our band from ever playing there again. And that was because I couldn't hold my shit together. And it's just very important. It's just, I feel like there are a lot of things that, I mean, at the time I was in a different headspace, and then also, like, there are some messages somehow I didn't receive, and I probably was a little resistant to hearing them too. And so, like, I think, like, in a bunch of other contexts, I've definitely learned, like, these levels of professionalism, and often it's a pain in the butt, like, in the teaching realm, or like emceeing, or even just going to readings where, like, I'm the only person of color, or like just all kinds of different things that come up that really tear me up inside and, like, aggravate the crap out of me. But I don't monster out anymore. Like, I try really hard to just, like, do what I came to do. And then the stuff that bothered me, like, are there ways to work in community to try to help change those things? And it's long, hard work, and it's definitely not where I've always been, for sure. So it's just like, I think it's really important for folks to hear that. It's just like, sometimes we have the clear vision, and absolute drive and want, and there are these other things that we have to implement too. Otherwise, yeah, we won't get those opportunities, because who wants to be around you when you're an asshole?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, there are things. There was this time I was playing with a swamp pop group in Boutte, Louisiana. It's just outside of New Orleans, and we were playing a dance on a Sunday at a bingo club, and that was a real fun time, because I was playing these Sunday dances, and the band leader would call tunes by the dance. Like, this is a two-step. Now we got to do a waltz or whatever, or maybe anyway, the point is, that's how we play the tunes, just we'd rotate the dances. And anyway, the bingo hall owner couldn't afford to pay us, I guess, and not what he agreed to. Mm-hmm. And well, he negotiated with the band leader, and the band leader came back to us, and a couple of the musicians were like, no, he said he'd pay us this, so he better pay us this. And instead of negotiating with the guy, who was basically a family friend of the band leaders, they had a long-term relationship. Instead of negotiating, like, well, what if you pay us this much and feed us all dinner or something, was my idea.
Yeah.
Two of the guys were resolute, and we never worked there again. And I think that's, I mean, I don't know. I guess there's a lot to be said for, you know, I mean, you got to be paying what you're saying you're going to be able to pay, but
Yes,
at the
please.
same time, if you're, I mean, we could have kept it. We could have been doing that gig. It was a good paying gig, and I don't know. Maybe he would then take advantage of us from then on. I don't know. I'm not really sure, but my initial inclination would be to work with him and, you know, see. I don't know. It seems like it'd be better to still be playing, having a gig than just to be a hard ass and then just burn a bridge, you know?
Yeah, I think that's real talk for sure. Just like where do you find that balance? And it's just like obviously like just like always that line or that boundary, I think does need to be flexible. Like if you've ever done any booking, someone someone wanted me to be their booking agent, so I tried for about 9 months, and I was like, so wait, how much did you say you were able to pay me after you all get paid? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I don't think I could do this, but like, it's
Right.
like, you know, because like in the capacity that I would have had to have done it to actually have done okay was a lot different than what was available. But like, if you're like talking with like club owners and venue owners and people, often they're musicians too and doing their own work and trying to showcase other musicians and stuff too, like if you start talking with them, you start realizing, especially I think in the US, like the money is slim on
Yeah.
both sides of the gate, unfortunately. It fucking sucks. And so it's just like, I think it does build like stronger community, because that's another thing you find out is the world is very, very, very small. You know, like all these cats in these disparate towns and cities, they all know each other. You know, you piss one of them off and then, oh,
Yeah.
suddenly you're blacklisted, or, you know, or no one wants to talk to you. And that's like, that's not a fun place to be. I think it's like to be more, if you can, I know not everyone has the solution or the capacity to be that, but like being more like solutions oriented, I think
Oh,
it
yeah.
just helps community, you know. I don't know.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I admire that mindset. Like, let's work it out, because you know it's cool to get fed, right? Food isn't like nothing.
No, yeah, sometimes it's everything.
Yeah.
I guess. But yeah, yeah, I think that's right. I don't know. It's difficult. I had a talk with a friend just about music yesterday that it was
Yeah.
pretty heavy. I was talking about making a living as a musician, and he said, yeah, well, there's the music business and then there's music. And without the music business, is there still music? And it's like, well, yeah, we're still going to make music, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so he had me look at it differently, or I don't know. I guess I'm just so hell bent on working
Yeah.
that I forgot. I don't know. Well, I was in Idaho with visiting my folks, and my stepdad loves it when I play on the back patio for him and
Yeah.
mom, and it's kind of it's just as a solo saxophone player, like, and then try to entertain them and a few friends or something, it really feels what do you call it? I just feel very kind of on the spot or whatever. I just do it anyway, but it definitely is interest anyway. What am I saying? But that's still there. Like it's important to do it just for the sake of doing it too. So,
Yeah. I think that's important to talk about too. It's like once we start like confining ourselves to certain instances of doing a thing, I don't know, it becomes a different thing. So I like that relation to it too. Like, yeah, I mean, there's still music. I think about this a lot, like just about any other culture. Like for some reason, I feel like in a lot of areas of our culture, music and music making is relegated to like certain faces and certain people, and like certain, you know, and like any other place. And even like if you attend church, if you're in a cult, if you you know, in the like the Bobenzali rainforest, freaking the streets of Mexico, like Italy, from the balconies, like everywhere you go, like music is a communal act. And I think we've lost a lot of that. And you know, in this world where everything needs to become specialized and commodified. And it's like really tricky too, because then, I mean, I know I've experienced this too. Like people are like, oh yeah, this is something you love to do, it's your hobby or something like that. But that's the thing, it's like, it is literally your lifeblood, right? It's your bread and butter. And for people to poo-poo it like that's not cool. Like, you know, you've done tons of training and all the work, and have been a journeyman in music as well, and as well as done the academic side. And it's just like, you know, it is a specialty. So it's like, I don't know what that line is, or how to get people, like, to shake them to understand, like, yes, like music is for everyone, and like there are specialists too who like deserve to be taken care of, you know, set up right. I think I like went a little off of what we were talking about, but it's just something I've thought about a lot.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess that's what this format is for, right? It's kind of a stream of consciousness, I think.
I think that's just how my brain works.
Yeah.
It's just like, there are 15 different roads and I'm on all of them somehow at once. It's not working very well, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. It's, yeah, that's a big struggle here in New Orleans is is paying musicians and stuff. It's an economics thing, you know. If you have a lot of people who are willing to do it for nothing, then
That makes it harder for everyone else.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a whole political topic around here, is like how much the clubs pay you when you know, essentially it's a tourist economy, and we'll play. I mean, my band, I have a couple bands that had regular nights at Cafe Negril and on Frenchman Street, and we basically, kind of the way that what that is almost is you're on the road without going anywhere, because every night a new crowd comes to you and then shuffles on, you know, and so there's a whole thing. It's the job. What I learned from Clarence Gage, one of my early band leaders, is when you're a bar band or whatever, your job isn't necessarily to bring the crowd; it's to hold the crowd. And so, yeah. So, anyway, so we basically, it's kind of, I think the way I see it, the way the economy works, we get, you know, a percentage of the bar and tips, and the reason you get a percentage of the ring is, well, if they paid big guarantees to every single band, I don't think the club would survive. That might be naive of me to say. Let's see. I don't know what happened here. Can you still see me?
I can. Yep.
Okay, good. Anyway, and I can understand that, like, all boats rise with the tide. And of course, you know, the club will make a lot more than the bands do. And then there's this tension between how much without the music in a bar in New Orleans, or without the live band, the bar is dead, you know? So anyway, so there's that tension between how much are they making versus us, and how much we're responsible for the crowd and all that stuff. And yeah, that's a tough thing to figure out. I pretty much figure we're, as my friend John Lisi says, we're all screaming for our supper. So if we're not doing well, then there's no one in the club, then we're not getting paid, you know? And so, I don't know, there's kind of the meritocracy aspect of it, you know? anyhow, I don't know if I've said anything on that whole rant or what, but
Oh no, that I think it. Yeah, I think it was very real and very informative too. Because like like I think going in and sometimes even like years in or whatever, like we think it should be a certain way and we get stuck on like how it should be.
yeah,
And that's something I've learned over time is like, okay, this is how it is now. This is where we are now. And these are the things that exist in the world. So therefore, how do I interact with it? And so like, I think that is definitely also a lesson from music is like learning how to be flexible, like whether you're improvising literally or just or learning like a lot of different genres, a lot of different timbres, a lot of different styles. Like those things all teach, flexibility and versatility, I think. And I don't know if everyone gets that.
yeah, yeah. Well, right. All of that stuff is definitely, I suppose, as a musician, you learn how to, especially maybe a jazz musician, where you learn how to improvise, and hopefully you can see that you can take that skill into your life, your regular everyday life. But I don't
Yeah.
know. It's I don't know if it's sometimes not that easy for me. I've definitely found after this shutdown it's well, like my brother is in, he was doing the chef thing for a long time, and he sort of pivoted into making into the CBD industry, like making gummies and bonbons and stuff, and he's all about the pivot and the, you got to be, keep your mind I don't know, like limber. And I don't mean like in a
Yeah.
dude in the dude kind of way, like, a strict drug and alcohol regimen to keep your mind limber. I mean, like, just stay limber and just find opportunities and not be maybe so beholden to just being one thing, like kind of the way
Yeah.
you are with all the different, it's multiple streams is just
Yeah.
generally a safer way to be, just in case, because sometimes some of the streams dry up, and
Yeah. Yeah.
especially as a creative person.
Definitely part of that has been survival mode. It's like, yes, I'm stubborn and I want to be a creative person. And that also puts me in some precarious spots sometimes where, like even now I'm like strategizing, like, okay, if I lose this job because I'm going to this residency, then I have this much money, it'll last this long, and then I'll have to hustle when I get back in these
Mhm.
ways. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
And some of the other things that I am capable of doing. And I've just like over the last while, I mean, maybe I've been wired that way. I don't think I always have been wired that way. Like out of the gate, I was like, this is what I'm about, this is what I'm doing. And then, challenges, whatever. And then I just learned other ways of doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that has looked a lot of different ways. Like people are like, I've had like 8 jobs my whole entire life, and like I've had probably 80 jobs in my whole entire life,
Right.
because it's just like trying to be honest with myself, and
Mm-hmm.
also you know it's not working for a corporation that's probably going to take care of me for a long time. I actually don't think a lot of companies offer that kind of loyalty anyway, but like
Yeah.
we live in a different time than the Mad Men era of
Mm.
times. But like, yeah, again, it's that flexibility, and I don't know if that's just the way I'm wired, or if I have been trained, so to speak, to be that way, or maybe a little bit of both. But I don't know if that makes sense. My brain's like a pinball machine with teleportation stations, so
Yeah.
there might
Yeah,
not
it's
be an
all
actual line.
no, well, it's all good. I don't know. I guess if the difficult thing is, I guess, like on a kind of discipline level, is being able to see whatever job that you're doing as a means to an end, and
Yeah.
keeping like the idea of what you want to do, and you're fresh in your mind every day that you wake up. It's hard to do. Yeah. It's hard to, I don't know. It just, once again, it just takes, I read this book called The Art of War, or The War of Art. That's what it is. Yeah. You've read that one, I'm sure.
I read part of it. It's in here. I haven't put on my books of, I have like 3,000 books in this room, and they're not all on shelves yet, but it's in here somewhere.
That, I just read that recently, and it really kind of helped me. I kind of was starting to do it, just kind of go to work at the same time that my girlfriend works. She's got a job that she can work from home. So
nice.
What I've been doing is I just get up around the same time she does, and then go to work, and then try and just work the hours she works, and then we get done. It's the first time in my life that actually I've sort of had sort of a normal schedule. It's not the first time in my life, but it's in a long time that I've had kind of a normal schedule. And so I just work on arranging, writing, practicing, and then we get done and go for a walk and make dinner, and then chill out, and then go to bed, and then repeat the next day. And it's been really cool. But that book, The War of Art, it's kind of the point of it, I think, is you just get rid of the excuses and just go to work for yourself, like the same way you would if you had when I worked at a phone bank or whatever, right. You'd get up every day, no matter how you felt, and you went and you did the job. So you just got to treat your own, whatever it is that your ambition is, you just got to treat it like you're going to work, So that's been helpful to kind of, especially nowadays, just to kind of keep me focused on my different projects and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's like, thank you for bringing that up. That's something I had to learn over time too. I think I like, for a long time, kept setting aside like everything I wanted to do for whatever other work, right, that paid the bills and fed me and things like that. Always waiting for when I would be able to flip that. But that's the thing, is like, like, I'm in my 40s now, and like that was a lot of time. And like how I work now is always, they're happening at the same time, and it's starting to shift in a certain way where and probably a lot of it is luck, is like the work I am able to do usually is in some kind of alignment with the stuff that I want to be creating as well. It's either like something I want to learn, or like directly in that streamline. So I feel like I'm always in some kind of apprentice mode, sort of. And like putting myself against those kind of learning curves to kind of expand on, the writing and the things in healing arts and things like that, the things that interest me, so that I can keep moving forward with those things. And then if it feels like it's getting too far off track, or even just a little bit too much off track, or if there's an imbalance there, I have to figure out how to get back to the balance. And I think for me, COVID taught me like the things that were important to me. Like those first 2 months, I was destroyed. I wasn't okay, because I've gotten into this headspace where I'm used to going all the time, like essentially working to the point of absolute exhaustion. So I don't have to think about anything, and then I go crash and then wake up and do it again. And there's something very satisfying for me being in that state for some reason. But like, that first 2 months, no jobs, no nothing. Everyone was like cooped up in their own homes, and, a lot of fear, etc. And then after that 2 months, it's like, started implementing like small pieces of rhythm. And the only things I had left to look at were, myself, what do I need?
Right.
What do I want? What have I been ignoring? And so now I'm in a space where I'm working a lot again, but I've finally built this habit of like, some kind of rhythm where, like, I have a garden.
Oh, cool.
A
That's
garden
great.
that actually produces food.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so the garden has taught me a lot about like what community looks like, because like all but 4 plants other people brought. And I was mad at first. I was just like, this is a part-time job. Like, what? I don't need this. So like, but actually I did, because every day, 2 times a day, I go check on my garden. You know, it's like, oh, there's a challenge. There's like freaking dusty white mold on this shit. Like, how do I, you know what I mean? So you have to like constantly problem solve, and it's
Yeah.
also a different headspace. And then also like, I don't know, sticking your hands and feet in the earth, like, remind you that there are other things, there's other work that maybe is even more important, you know, than
Yeah,
spinning the
for
wheels all
sure.
the time. And so I'm just like, the things that I want to get back to are those things that I found during the last 7 months or something, however long it's been. And that's like community, like, you know, like having good relationships and cultivating them,
Yeah.
and also like being able to give back and stuff. So, and I feel like gardening has definitely taught me that. Like, people bring you plants and food plants and stuff from their garden, and then all of a sudden you're doing the same thing, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
here's a cutting, or here's a bunch of eggplants I'm not going to be able to eat, you know? Like,
Yeah, right.
so,
Yeah, that's that's very cool. I went through a breakup last year, and it flattened me out, and so what I did is uh luckily I started reading some psychology and stuff like that,
yeah,
and I got into this whole thing, like just starting with what you can do, you know, like just get up and make your bed, and then can you clean your room, and then can you clean your house, you know what I mean, and go
yeah,
out from there, and just try to just see how you can make things better. Just focus on what you can do, basically, which is
yeah,
very basic, but I feel. And so what I found is, like, you know, like I have a shed that didn't have doors. I put doors on it and I painted it, and then I've fixed up the fence here and there, and then I fixed up the fence more, and then my girlfriend and I, we trimmed up the tree. We put a roof on my carport. Like, it's just grown and grown. And just even relationship wise, like
yeah,
I'm trying to figure out how to do the best for every relationship too, and
yeah,
just follow, like basically, if the best I can follow just what my inner voice tells me, that, you know what I mean, like,
yeah,
not think, but actually what I'm feeling and
yeah.
what I know is right, whether or not I want to admit it or not. I don't know, something like that. But
I totally get that. Like,
yeah.
it's hard, like, relationships test us, right? Like, I my last relationship before this one, definitely taught me. I grew leaps and bounds after that relationship, and it was because um uh there were a lot of things that I accepted that I wasn't sure about, but I wanted to try because it would make my partner happy. And so I said yes, you know, and I think that relationship tested me in a lot of ways where I'm actually able to be better in relationships generally. And that's, you know, whether it's colleagues or students or, you know, a lover or whatever. It's just like, okay, like, I see you as an individual person with needs, and it's important. Your happiness is important, and also mine. And maybe there are some boundaries that that don't get crossed, so that we don't have resentments and things like that, because we all get to be our own
Yeah.
people, and we all get to be whole people. And so it's just like a lot of growth that happened really, really quickly, and because of a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And yeah, which, you know, some of it I didn't feel like I was going to be able to get through, but like I did. And then just like where I still am, let's be real. Like, but like, it's just like, you know, it's just like, okay, this is the thing that is, and this is what I'm learning from it, and this is how I can apply that information, you know. I don't know. I don't know if that's related enough, but like, I'm sorry to hear about your breakup, and I feel you too, because like that shit's hard, you know, like you build something that you come to rely on, and then it's gone, and then, you know,
Right.
it's devastating.
Yeah,
um
sure. I guess it kind of shows you where you're uh like where you let little things slide and then
yeah,
erode the foundation, and then before you know it,
yeah,
it crumbles.
damn, yeah. And that's why that was one of the things I learned, is just like, you know, in that relationship we did try to be honest and stuff, but it was also like kind of the foundation of it was built around a lot of fear on both parties' parts. And so like that makes it rocky in a lot of ways, you know. And then there's like a lot of like trust isn't necessarily there when that fear is there, when the fear is in the way.
Yeah.
And so like it just taught me to really, like you were saying, like what are the things I'm feeling, why do I feel this way, and then like really examining those things, and like trying to figure out, like, you know, is this all mine, and like how can I talk about it with my partner. um and I mean, you know, hopefully we're all in relationships where we can talk about things with our partners, you know, and not like use it as some kind of crazy tactic or something, which I've definitely been culprit of doing. But like, um you know, as a way to like, hey, like I'm feeling some kind of way and I want to talk about it, is now a good time, and then you go from there, you know, and try to figure some shit out. But like I definitely haven't always been there. um
I know I haven't.
you remember Fatima Mahamadi, right? I think we all called her
uh,
Fatima.
oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and I've been having the great joy of being able to talk to her, and just like she brought up like, yeah, I remember when we were younger, you would just get very upset.
Mm.
And now I get upset, but I'm more like Bruce Banner, you know, like I've drank the serum so I don't turn into the Hulk. um,
Oh, okay, cool.
um
That's fun.
but like I think I'm leapfrogging a little bit, because I want to get to that part about joy. I think that has been the difference for me. It's just like I I come from a place where joy seems really fleeting,
Hmm.
and often it's not there, and you're just against the slog of like all these like really kind of debilitating challenges, you know, like growing up working poor or whatever. Like there, it's just like you're put in this place where sometimes you feel like you don't deserve joy, and sometimes society tells you that you don't deserve joy. And so I think
Mm.
it's important to think about joy. So that's where I'm getting to. I'm like, where's the joy? Like, where are you seeing joy and light and all those things?
Mm. Uh, well, I guess it's in, I don't know, just going for walks in the woods. We just took a camping trip, went back up to Montana and stuff,
Nice.
and we got to, my pops passed away in 2016, and we went camping at the campground at the foot of the Beartooth Mountains, where we'd always go and play. We play frisbee golf, if you know, just uh, right there before we went up over the Beartooth Pass. And so we found a campsite there, and it was really cool to get to do that, because we it's kind of like getting to do something with pops again,
Yeah.
and even in an expanded way a little bit, because we actually camped by the Rock Creek and watched the moon light up the mountains, and we were so that was cool. That was a really good experience. And I don't know, just try to, I've been finishing projects is pretty good. That's it. I'm just working, just getting locked in. I feel like can be pretty joyful, I guess. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to best just do right relationship wise. You know, we went and spent time with my folks, and
Yeah.
that was cool. And just really trying to appreciate them for the people they are, and just, I don't know, it's all about memories, like all these, this is like a living in a dream, you know? So it's, if you can, if it, hopefully it's more good dreams than nightmares. So that's kind of what
Yeah.
I'm trying to focus on, I guess. It's to whatever level of success I'm managing, you know?
Yeah. And it's, I mean, it's constant work, right? We really have to work and fight for our joy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do.
Yeah.
There's so much shitty shit. And you just have to be like, you know what? My joy is a fucking revolutionary act.
Oh wow, yeah. I've totally given up. I limit my Facebook time to, I try to limit it to maybe 5 minutes at a time. I don't really, I check the news just to see what's going on, but
Yeah.
I don't get bogged down in that stuff. During I think the 2008 election, I got really addicted to the news cycle.
Mm,
And then I think 2016, it's like my breaker switch got flipped for news and all that. It was like, okay, nothing is real anymore or matters. And so I just kind of, I gave up on it. And then, but then I found that actually it's way better not being stuck in that. Like, I'm
mhm.
generally more, like my mood is steadier than just like listening to whatever reports and freaking out about stuff that I have no control over, you know?
Right.
And
I
so
get,
that's,
yeah.
I think, well, it kind of goes back to like the Thich Nhat Hanh thing, right? It's like what you just consuming, you got to watch what you consume, I guess. And
Yeah.
that includes what you're reading, watching, you know, all that stuff, what you're,
Yeah.
uh, so, I mean, uh, yeah, so that's, I guess that's helped a little bit. And like that, keeping that schedule
Yeah.
helps big time.
Yeah. Well, well, thank you. I gotta close this up because I have another call today. But
Okay.
I want to know like how folks can keep up with your work and how they can support your work.
Yeah, well, let's see. You can find, let's see, I'm on Facebook, Ejric Bernhardt, Ejric Bernhardt. And then, but my band's called Noggin, and you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. We're Nola Noggin. And I have a YouTube channel called, it's Nola Noggin, like New Orleans, Nola Noggin, all one word. And I've been putting out new music videos every month. It seems like a pretty good, it's a doable schedule
Yeah.
of production time.
And they're really fun. I've seen a couple of them.
Cool. Yeah, I just released one today. It's called Everything Gonna Be All Right. And it's
Awesome.
actually, yeah, it's actually a tribute to my pops. It's based on the, when he passed away, it was the, you know, you know, it's horrible to lose your loved one, but it
Yeah.
was the most beautiful morning. We were in Billings, Montana, and the sun was rising, and there was dew all across this field outside the hospice care area, and Greg opened up the blinds and let in all this beautiful sunshine, and when we were there with him, as he passed away, and so the song is based on that experience, and so I've released it. It just sort of coincidentally happened. Coincidentally, it happens that it'll be the fourth anniversary of his passing, just here in the next couple of days. So I was able,
Wow.
so kind of just to honor his memory and all that stuff. That video is just, I released that just today.
Okay. Well, I'll probably upload this today then.
No, well, it's all good.
Well,
It's just
because
going.
like, you know, Gordy has a special place in my heart too, and he's just such
Yeah,
a good guy and so much fun to be around. And
yeah,
like, he's definitely, I was so sorry to hear that he passed. because I know what a great loss that is. So yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's all, yeah, it's all good. I appreciate you asking me to do this.
Yeah, thank you for saying yes. I'm gonna go ahead and close this up.
Okay.